everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll show you how to crochet this really beautiful blue bag. It's good for children and could also be used as a mini backpack for adults. For this pattern, I'll use a 5mm crochet hook and I'll be using polyester yarn. It's about 5mm thick. Okay, let's dive right into it. Get your cup of tea. So to begin, we'll make a slip knot. And then we'll proceed to make 20 chains. So 1, 2, continue to 20. To begin row 1, we'll make a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So that's my first single crochet for this row. We'll continue to make single crochets all through this row in every stitch. And at the end of every row for this pattern, we will chain 1 before turning our work. Continue and I'll meet you at the end. So I'm at the end of my row 1. So this is the last single crochet. And then I'll proceed to chain 1 and turn my work. I'll sink my hook into the very first stitch and make the first single crochet of row 2. Again for row 2, I'll continue to make single crochets in every stitch, and at the end, remember to chain 1 and turn. I'm getting to the end of row 2. Just a couple more single crochets. And that's the last one for this row. As usual, we'll need to chain 1 before turning. At row 3, we'll start making the design. So in row 3, I'll make 9 single crochets. I've made the first one already. I'll make 9 single crochets, including that first one I made. Make 1 popcorn right here. And 9 more single crochets to end this row. You can pause this video at any time to read the written instructions. And that's the last single crochet. So let's make the first popcorn of this design. So I'll sink my hook, yarn over and pull out through one of the loops. I'll go back into the same stitch and repeat this. I'll repeat this one more time. And then to complete the popcorn, I'll yarn over once I have 4 loops and pull through all 4 of them. Usually a popcorn will be 5 loops, but my yarn is really thick, so I figured 4 will be fine. You can adjust the pattern. Once you're done with the popcorn, make single crochets until the end of this row. At the end of the row, you should have 19 stitches. Please don't lose your stitches, please. And at the end, remember to chain 1 before turning your work. To begin the next row, simply make single crochets in every stitch. So after a layer of popcorn, the next layer should be all single crochets. That's the way to space out your popcorn so we can get the design of the heart at the end. So just single crochets in every stitch, and I'll meet you at the end. Don't forget the stitches above your popcorn. Don't lose your stitches. you should always have 19 stitches at the end of every round at this stage. So those are the stitches at the top of your popcorn. It's pretty easy to lose it. All you have to do at the end of the row of single crochets is to count and make sure you have 19 stitches. Okay, so that's the last single crochet for this layer. I'll chain one and turn my work. So beautiful. This is another layer of popcorns. For these, I'll have 7 single crochets, 1 popcorn, 3 single crochets, another popcorn, and then end with 7 single crochets. So it's time for the first popcorn. So in between 2 popcorns, you always have 3 single crochets. It's important for the spacing. So that's the first popcorn. I'll proceed to make 3 single crochets. And I'll make another popcorn right here. It's pretty easy, right? Okay, so let's complete this popcorn. And to end this row, I'll simply make 7 single crochets. I would have the written pattern somewhere in the middle of the video, so you can just, write that down, pause it, and do it. So I'm at the end of the round. Don't forget, always chain one before you turn your work. Oh, so pretty already. So like I said, after every layer of popcorn, you have single crochets in all stitches. So for row 6, you have single crochets in every stitch. And this is what it looks like. See, it's taking shape already. Okay, so this is the pattern to follow for rows 7 to 16. After every popcorn layer, there is a layer of single crochet. And this is for row 13 to 16. You can pause the video and take screenshots. I've now completed 16, and this is what it looks like. Look, I already have my love shape. This boy is going to be happy. So I'll go ahead to add 2 more rows of single crochets. I've added 2 more rows of single crochets, and now we'll start row 19. Decreases begin in row 19. So skip the first stitch, sink your hook into the second stitch and make your first single crochet. You will continue until you have 16 single crochets, and I'll show you how to make another decrease at the end of row 19. We are now doing the 16 single crochet. To make the decreases, you sink your hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, sink your hook into the last stitch, pull up another hoop, pull up a loop and pull it through all of them. I'm sorry, it's like a tongue twister. You chain one and turn. Row 20 will also be decreases. So as expected, you skip the first stitch. You make a total of 14 single crochets and make another decrease at the end of row 20. We're trying to form the top of the bag, to cinch it in. So like I said, we're making decreases here. Pull up one loop, pull up another loop, take a loop and pull through all of them. Chain one and turn. We are going to continue to make decreases until we are left with only 9 stitches. Incredible, right? Skip the first stitch. And in this row, you have a total of 13 stitches because, you know, you will make 12 single crochets and a decrease at the end. That will give you a total of 13 stitches. So I'm at the end of the row and I'm making my last decrease for this row. As usual, chain one and turn your work. Again, skip the first stitch. Make a total of 10 single crochets first, and then make the decrease at the end. And that gives you a total of 11 stitches for row 22. Chain one and turn. For row 23, skip the first stitch, make 8 initial single crochets and a final decrease, and that will give you a total number of 9 stitches, and that's the end of this part of the bag. Chain one. Let's look at our work. Beautiful. So now we'll contour the edges by making single crochets all round, but we'll work the corner differently. So to begin, make sure you put single crochets in every row. When you get to the corner, it will be different. I'll show you what to do at the corner. It might be hard, endure. You want a firm bag. So continue to put in those single crochets in every layer. And now I'm at the edge. At the edge, you make 1 single crochet, you chain 1, and you make another single crochet. So that's the first single crochet. Chain 1, and into the same stitch, another single crochet. That gives you a smooth corner. And continue to make single crochets, and I'll meet you at the top of the bag. So I'm back to where we started. I'll simply cut the yarn at this point and join it to the beginning of the contour by using an invisible stitch. That's just basically putting the yarn into the first stitch that you worked in and pulling it out of the last stitch that you worked in. I'll show you. It's not rocket science, I promise. So I'll just put my yarn into my needle. You can also use a smaller hook. You don't have to use a needle. So that's the first one I worked. So I'll put in the yarn, both loops, pull it out. And I would return it into only the back loop of the last single crochet I worked. Simple as ABC. See? Invisible. And then hide your tail. To make the side of the bag, pick any stitch at the edge and insert your yarn, chain 1 to secure the yarn. Now simply make single crochets in the back loop of every stitch. Make sure your starting point is at the edge. It's easier to hide it that way. I'll just try to hide the tail as I work. If it's confusing for you, you can leave out the tail. When you're done, you'll hide it. So I've completed it. I'm at the last one. That's my last single crochet. And I'll simply join this first round by making a slip stitch. I'll chain one, work a single crochet into the same stitch where I joined, and this starts round 2. Round 2 is the same thing, simply making a single crochet all around. This is the end of round 2. I'll join again with a slip stitch, chain 1, make a single crochet into the same stitch, and I'll continue to make single crochets all around again. And I'm at the end. It's the last single crochet. I'll join again with a slip stitch, and this time around for the 4th round I'll be making only slip stitches in the back loop of every stitch. So make it all around just to give it a nice coating. But before you begin, make sure you chain 1. I'll meet you at the end. And so as usual, I'll join with an invisible joining. So pull it out, and like we did before, insert it into the first slip stitch of that round, and then insert it into only the back loop of the last stitch of that round, and that's it. So now I've made a second piece, but in the second piece I didn't put any popcorn stitches. I replaced all popcorn stitches with regular single crochets, and now I'll just sew both sides of my bag together using a yarn needle. So when you go into the back loop of one of your sides, you'd come out through the front loop of the other side. So you're taking only one loop of the stitch, not the 2 loops. Continue to sew it all around until you get to the other side, making sure you leave allowance for the size of zip that you have. So I'm done sewing it, and this is what it looks like. Camera is not doing justice. It's really beautiful, trust me. The popcorns are really popping, but due to the lightning, you can't really see it. I'll try to show you from this angle. I've put in my zip. I sewed it with regular needle and thread. So I've made a long strip of double crochets, and I contoured it with single crochets that will serve as the back strap. So it's just one long strip. I would attach the bases. I'll just turn this. Okay, I will attach the bases here, and the midpoint will serve as the handle, just like this. So this is what it will look like. You can go ahead and sew that onto it. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. You can share the video, and see you next time. Bye.